Thanks, Amy. Malcolm, how special is it just to be not only going back to Philadelphia, but also going, an hour away from Piscataway?
I mean, I wish fans were allowed. We've been locked away here for a long time. It's been a minute since I've seen my family, so to be that close to home, not be able to touch and feel your family is a little tough. But I'm excited, man. Obviously, accomplished a lot in that building. Got a lot of friends that'll be on the other side, but really looking forward to the opportunity to compete.
I had a follow-up. So I want to ask you about not just the Eagles, but the city itself. Well, what does that city mean to you?
Man, I love that city. I call it home in the off seasons. I've given myself, everything I've got into that community, invested a lot into that community, and it's given the same love back to me. So that city holds a special place in my heart.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Malcolm, if you look at that last play of the Falcons game, the Hail Mary pass, it looks like Calvin Ridley makes no play for the ball and goes right at C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Is that common on a Hail Mary to have one receiver just try to take DBs out? Or did that strike you as unusual that opportunity to take a shot at C.J.? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I didn't see that. I was more focused on the ball. Even when I watched the tape, I really didn't notice that. But for us, it's just about how do we win the down. So if a receiver wants to abandon the football, then, better for us. We got more numbers. So I don't know. I don't really have a comment on it. I didn't notice it until you just said that.
If I could do a follow-up, if you don't mind. When it comes to CJ, it seems like almost every game we see somebody literally lose their mind at him.
Yeah.
Is he, among NFL players, I know there's a lot of talking, but is he like the Michael Jordan of talking on the field? Is he elite at that?
Well, I think like anything, you create a reputation, right? And guys approach you based on what they've heard or seen on tape. So a lot of times, we'll play teams, and you can just tell that guys have the attitude coming into it that they're not going to be the one, to, take any of his crap, and they end up getting out of it, out of their own game, and he's not even doing anything. So whatever he's doing, it's effective. So I always tell him, live on the edge, play on the edge, just don't hurt the team. And I think he does a good job of that, really walking that line of being tough and in your face, but really never putting himself in a position where he hurts us as a unit. And, so I think that's a positive.
Next one's from Amos Morale.
Yeah, Malcolm, you've been around the league a couple of years, and I was curious to get your opinion on this. Do you think there's any correlation between building depth like you guys have and the locker room culture, establishing a good locker room culture?
100%. Yeah, I think, luckily for me, I've been in two good locker rooms where you've always preached depth and availability being, huge factors in the type of players you put in your locker room. You want guys who are going to be committed to preparing like a starter, even though the chances of them playing are not there. Because we know in this league, injuries happen, crazy things happen, especially now with COVID. The ability for people to step in and play without having to drop off is how you win consistently throughout a season. And so, I think it is one of the things that obviously has helped us, especially on the back end over the few weeks with, guys kind of going in and out. We've been able to just plug a new guy in and keep our plan and production the same.
And then if I could follow up, just something to the culture of maybe guys wanting to come and play there in terms of like finding if you're a free agent or whatever.
Yeah, I think we've got really some of the best backups in the league. I think Patrick Robinson, I think is a great example of that. Somebody who is a first round pick, played a lot of football in this league, and really could start on the majority of teams in this league. But he's a backup for us and comes in, and I think he's got just as much ball production as any of the corners that we have. So that helps us obviously when we're trying to, and especially with the defense we play a lot of man-to-man press. We need guys that can go up and cover. And so when we lose somebody, having backups like that can come in and not lose a step is key to what we do.
Next one's from Amy Just.
What have you seen from Marcus Williams over these past couple of weeks?
Well, I think he's always been a rangy, player on the back end who can make plays on the football, gets interceptions. I think the most or the knock kind of coming into him, at least, the rhetoric around him was that wasn't a great tackler, wasn't very physical. And I think what we've seen over the last month, really, and really throughout the year, is he's been a more devastating tackler. He's making big hits. He's taking great angles to the football, and has really been eliminating some of those explosive runs that might get to the second level. And I think that's what you want to see out of your deep safety, somebody who can tackle well, can be physical. And I think him adding that portion to the game, to his game, is really making him a solid player on the back end, and obviously playing a lot of good football for us.
Next one's from Chris Dunnels.
Malcolm, you've been a part of 2 different Super Bowl winning teams in 2 different cities. I was just curious how this current 2020 Saints locker room compares to some of those other winning teams you've been a part of in the past.
It's different. I think obviously everybody's been talented, or every team has been talented. Every team has kind of had a story, but this one to me has the most potential. And obviously, the 2 teams that we're on made it and won, and we've still got a lot of football in front of us before I can make a comparison between the 2. But obviously, we have a great team. At this point in the season, we put ourselves in a great position with a lot still out in front of us. But it's still a lot to accomplish before I can really weigh this team against those 2 that actually got the job done.
Next one's from John DeSager.
Malcolm, I know that the goal remains the same every week, but how does the methodology change when you're facing a quarterback who's making his first NFL start? He's a rookie, obviously hasn't seen as much as you guys might be able to throw at.
I mean, it's twofold, right? He hasn't seen all the looks as a rookie, and so you see, a little bit of vulnerability or a chance to make plays, but at the same time, we haven't seen it as well. We haven't got much tape on him, so we don't know how much the offense is going to change. We're going to see a lot more quarterback runs. Are going to be changes to the passing game? That's, we're going to have a little bit of, kind of an open-ended plan, knowing that we're going to make adjustments throughout the game to see, what's going on. So, it's give or take.
Next one's from Brett Martell.
Malcolm, I was wondering if you could take us back just a little bit to exactly how the Saints sort of re-recruited you from Philly, and then just the main factors that made this the right decision for you. I'm sure they're a good team, but if it's also personalities, familiarity, and things like that.
I mean, for me, I got cut by the Eagles, and as a free agent, there really wasn't many places I wanted to go. At this point in my career, I wanted to play for a team that I can contend with, that has a good locker room and a good culture, and obviously no better team than that than the Saints in my book. Somewhere that's very familiar, know the staff, know the city, and a lot of people that are here know what they're about. And so, if I wasn't going to, finish off in Philadelphia, then the Saints is obviously my best option, and a decision that I'm glad happened.
Did you really feel like Philly had no interest in bringing you back, or just not at the old contract?
For me, I gave everything I had to that city, to the team, did everything that the coaches asked me to do, did everything to make the players around me better, try to put my best, football out there. And it just wasn't valued, that much by, those who make the decision. So for me, it was just more of a principle about respect. I really didn't care what the money was, but I wanted to see what that respect factor was, and it wasn't valued at what I thought. And so, decisions are made, and I end up at a place that values what I bring, that has really had history with me, and obviously has worked out.
Next one's from Rod Walker.
And Malcolm, Jim Schwartz yesterday said that you're the smartest football player he's ever coached. What does it just mean to you to hear something like that?
Man, I mean, that's respect on the highest level. That's a coach that is not only respected by me, but respected around this league. He knows about football. He's coached a lot of great players. And so to hear that, from a coach that you played for, that's why you play the game. You play the game for the respect of your opponents, your peers, and those you play for. So I took that. I didn't take that lightly. That meant a lot to me. Somebody, like I said, who kind of pours his soul on what he does, to have that recognized by a coach from his stature is a big deal.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
And Malcolm, just with the amount of experience you have, having played for a couple teams that won it, how hard is it in the NFL to just like maintain that year in, year out, clinching a playoff berth early, competing for the #1 seed, all that stuff?
It's tough. I mean, in a league that's uber competitive, a lot of turnaround on teams, you lose a lot of players every year. It's hard to maintain a culture, and that starts not with just the players in the locker room, but that goes up to the coaching staff and the front office of how do you maintain that longevity. And there's not many teams in the league that can do that. There's a few select organizations. You see teams pop up and they're good for maybe 1 or 2 years, and then it falls apart when they lose players to free agency. So organizations like the Saints, to be able to maintain what has gone on here over the years is impressive, and obviously the credit goes to kind of everybody from the players all the way up to ownership.
Next one's from John DeSager.
Malcolm, you've seen just about everything there is to see, and yet 2020 is different than anything anybody's ever seen. Can you just talk about how this team has handled everything that's come its way this season, whether it be 6 starters missing a game, or some guys missing some games with COVID, or missing your quarterback for at least 3 games, just how this team has handled all that?
I mean, we talked about it at the very onset of the season. No excuses. There's going to be excuses for every single team, as to why this year isn't the year. But for us, we've been so close for so many years in a row that, we want to make this opportunity, our year. So there's going to be no excuses. We're not going to use COVID or injuries or any of those things to make excuses to why we can't accomplish, our goals. And with that being, really the crux of our culture, then it's really no surprise of how we work, how we go about our business, our demeanor in these games, and how we've arrived to the point we are now.
Next one's from Stacey Dales.
Malcolm, really over these last 5 games, you guys have given up 9 points a game defensively. What is such special about this group as you just continue to get better and better and better? And you mentioned Hurts, not knowing much about him. What has stood out, given the limited tape you've seen, and maybe a couple keys against him?
Yeah, I think the one thing that is helping us as a defense, really get better and better each week is our preparation throughout the week, and just our maturation and how we play off each other. I think we're starting to learn. Every week we learn better and better how to communicate with one another, how to see the game the same way, how to play off of one another, and that's allowing us to improve week after week, and we keep the process the same. As far as this week in the quarterback, the one thing I have seen, obviously he's a mobile quarterback, he's a strong runner, does a lot of his own read stuff, but also has a really big arm, so can stretch the field. You can't, it's not one of those times where you can just load up the box and dare him to throw. More than capable passer, but obviously movement and being on the run is a situation and something that we gotta obviously address.
Thank you.
Last one's from John Clark.
Hey, Malcolm. The time you spent in Philly winning a Super Bowl and all the things you've done in a community, how much did the city of Philadelphia and all the people, how much did it mean to you? And what's it going to be like to actually play at the Link again on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it meant the world to me. Like I said, I gave, 6 years of everything I had, from not just on the field, but into the locker room, into the community. Philly was me. It's synonymous, at one point in time. And so, it's going to be very, nostalgic, and I'm definitely been looking forward to this game kind of all year to be able to get back into the Link. Unfortunately, I don't think there will be any fans there. Won't be able to see friends and family, but, still, it's definitely a game I'm looking forward to get, kind of back into the city. I've missed a lot of those people this year. But, I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, John.